guys, so I recently went to a beach and I found a bunch of really pretty shells, and look at them, they're just so pretty. And I wanted to make a keychain out of it, or maybe like a pendant to wear to the beach, but as you can see there are no holes at all. So the only options were left were probably making a bezel, which I didn't really want to do, or wire wrapping them. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today, and you're going to end up with a piece that looks somewhat like this. Obviously it's not going to look exactly like this unless you choose to use the same pattern, and you can really just do whatever you want with it. You can wrap wire wherever you want, and I just added these little silver beads just for decoration. Just going to put that here. And you can use whatever shell you want, but I'm going to just use a smaller size shell because I find it easier to hold on to. You can use a larger shell if you want, like this one, but I'm just going to be using, I think, this one with a white stripe down the middle because I like how it looks. So just going to move all of those other shells out of the way. So as you can see, you can use this not only for a keychain, but anything that you want to attach it to, so maybe like a chain or like a chain for a pendant. So you'll need some 20 gauge wire. I'm using the artistic wire, 20 gauge, silver plated. You're going to need some pliers. I'm using my cutters, flush cutters, my round nose pliers, and those are really all the essential ones you need. But you can also grab something like flat nose or long nose pliers just to hold everything in place when you're trying to wrap everything together. Okay. And last thing is optional. You don't necessarily need it. You can survive without it. It's tape, so you just need some Scotch tape to tape the wire in place when you're wire wrapping. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so I'm just going to start out with some of my 20 gauge wire. So I'm just going to use a piece of cloth to help straighten the wire out and work hard in it, which is like getting the wire ready to work. And it's going to keep it, well, it's going to make the wire harder to lose its shape. So once you put it in a certain shape, it's not going to come out of it easily, which is what we want. So I'm going to measure it out for you guys because I usually just eyeball the measurements, but it'll probably be easier if I tell you the exact measurements. So looking at this shell right here, what we're going to be making first is just this sort of loop at the top right here. And you'll need your round nose pliers for this job. They're excellent for making loops. And you're just going to need, let's see, if you want a loop this big, which is, if you push your wire all the way to the bottom of these round nose pliers, it's going to give you a loop this big. So that's what I'm going to be using, and I will probably need, let's say 5 centimeters. That may be too much. You know what? I'm going to go with 4 centimeters. And at the 4 centimeter mark, this is going to be difficult to keep it in the camera, you're going to be making a sharp bend. Let me see if I can angle this differently. Maybe like this. Making a sharp bend. And then slipping it all the way to the end of the long nose plier, or sorry, not long nose, round nose pliers. You're going to push with your index finger and your thumb that wire all the way around. So you end up with something that looks like this. You were here, right? So now you can't go any further because that's all that the plier allows you to do. Now you're going to flip it around and push it to the bottom of your other, your other plier, I don't know, jaw, and bring that loop back around, just like that. So there you go, you have your loop there. And then you are going to grab this loop just right here just like that, and wrap it around. God, hold on. Okay, that's not good. Okay, so grab the end and just start wrapping. Sorry, it's kind of hard to keep it in view. Let's just see if I can adjust it right. Just going to hold it like this and just start wrapping. I'm just going to bring it down and around, making those nice tight loops. And I'm just going to do, I think 3 should be enough. Sorry, my wire isn't cooperating with me, so I'm just going to pinch it down a bit. And we're just going to snip off that end there. So see that little end? Snip that right off. Getting around those bars, you're going to try and tuck that little end in. Just squeeze it in. If you can't really squeeze it in, then another option, a simpler option, would probably just be to cut that little end off too. And then flat nose pliers are better at squeezing things in. Just going to squeeze that little part in. I don't know how well you can see this, but you just gotta get right in there and squeeze it down. So I ended up only being able to get 2 loops or 2 winds around with my other piece of wire, just because, as you can see with this one, you're going to end up wrapping that bit quite a few times. So you don't necessarily need 3 to keep it secure. You're going to end up wrapping quite a few times over your first 2 loops, or first 2 wraps. Okay, so now that we have a very nice start, we are going to just place it on the top of our shell just like this. So to position it to where you want it to be, the center preferably, probably for most of you, and using your index finger to hold the top and your middle finger to just sort of push that wire and shape it into the back side of the shell. So you see how the shell is curved? You want to shape that wire so that it curves in the natural curves and grooves of the shell, so that it can actually hold on and not just fall and slip off later when you're done your wrapping. So you're just going to hold with the index, push with the middle, and your other hand can help with this too. I'm just going to push it down until you get something like this, so that the wire falls into that natural curve of the shell. Just like that. Alright, I'm going to unwind a bit more wire. Now, it doesn't really matter where you want to start your wrapping. You can see here it's got this bend in it. So, honestly, you can pick any of these little ridges or curves in your shell to just latch that wire onto. I'm going to try a different design this time, and let's see how that turns out. So, starting with your wire piece, there we go, right in the middle, just like that. I'm going to start this time at the side, so you might have to adjust in position. I'm going to start at the side, and in one of these little grooves, just bring that wire all the way back up. And following in that same groove, try to follow it the entire time. And 20 gauge wire works really well for these shells just because it just falls naturally into exactly where I want it to go. So the grooves are just perfect for this 20 gauge wire. Bring it all the way back up so that you have something that looks like this. If I can get the shell out, there we go. So you have the natural curve of the shell on the inside, on the back side, and you bring that right up through one of the grooves and right back up to the top. Okay, let's slip our shell back inside. So if it slips out at any time during your wrapping, you're just going to have to place it back inside the groove again. It might be a different groove, but if you remember which groove you started with, that's even better. For this one, I had to switch grooves quite a few times, sometimes because I didn't like how it looked, and other times just because it fell out. The shell fell out while I was trying to wrap it, and I couldn't remember which groove I had originally inserted it into, but it turned out pretty nice anyways. So as you can see, it doesn't really matter. Until you secure it firmly, it's going to start to slip and slide because it's not secure yet. So there you go. I think I wanted, at this time you can have fun adjusting it to where you want it to go. I think I want it towards the side, just like that. And making sure that your loop is at the very center top, because that's where you're going to end up dangling your chain if you're using a chain, or you're attaching it to whatever you want to attach it to. So let's just fidget around with it for a bit. That spot looks nice. Okay. So now at this point, if you were to add beads, like here I added silver beads. These are 3mm silver beads. I'll just show you the package I used. I just bought these online off of eBay. I don't think Michael's sells them because my local Michael's doesn't. I couldn't find them there, but if yours does, by all means go buy them wherever you want to. And they're 3mm, like I said before, and they're silver little balls. You can use whatever you want, because I've got some pearls here too, and I think that would look nice too if you just slid a pearl on. But I think I'm going to stick with this pattern, so I'm just going to use these 3mm silver beads. Okay, so in order to slip the beads on, you're obviously going to have to cut the chain, or else it ends in this loop and you can't, in this spool, sorry, and you can't add beads on. So now is the time to sort of guesstimate how much wire you're going to need to keep the shell secure inside, because this is really where the shell gets secured fully. So you have something that looks like this, and you want enough wire that after you slip your beads on, you can wrap it a few times around this loop to keep the shell in place. So I'm going to just look at this. Oh no, sorry. I'm going to take about, maybe a little less than that. This should be good. So I took about like 1.5 centimeters. That should be enough for what I'm doing. And go and open up your bag of beads. For this one, I used 3 beads. For this one, I think, let's see how it looks. I might use 2 or 4. I don't want to use 3 again. So, I'm just going to slip that on there. And the bead stays nice in place where you want it to. Because it's a shell, it won't slide up and down because it's not smooth enough for the bead to move. So let's see where I want this to go. Sorry, it's kind of hard to keep what I'm doing inside the camera screen just because I'm moving it around, and I can't always look through the screen. So apologies for that. Okay. So it's slipped again, so I've got to choose a new groove to put it through. I think this was the one I liked. I think I like the looks of 2 beads actually. I think it looks pretty cute. I think 4 would just be too much for this design, so I'm going to start just bringing that wire around. Because this is 20 gauge, it's easy for the hands, and you can just bend wherever you want. So I've started my wrap around here, and it's still slipping. No. Okay, let me just give me a second to reposition my shell inside its wrap, and then I'll come right back into the screen. It's just difficult to keep it in the where I positioned my camera to be. Alright, right there. There we go. Okay. So we're going to start using, I'm using my flat nose just to squeeze on that ring and to keep it nice and tight. Please stop slipping out. At this point, if you want to use tape, it would be highly recommended, but I'm a little lazy, so I'm just going to not use the tape. Okay. There we go. Wrap it tightly around. Okay, there. And to keep it securely in place, you see how the wrap here, it's not focusing properly, but the wrap here is kind of loose. You're just going to grab your flat nose and just squeeze that end of the wire down. Gently, of course, because you don't want to break your shell, but just squeeze that part down so that now it just won't budge. See, before it was slipping off constantly. I probably should have done this step earlier, but you see how it won't slip off now because you squeeze that tight? So that's going to be what's going to keep it in place partly. So I've done a few loops up here, and you're just going to take your chain nose pliers and just cut that end off, just like that. Squeeze whatever remains, the wire, into the wrap with your flat nose pliers or whatever pliers you choose to use. And there you go, you have one wrap. You could definitely, by all means, just leave it like this because it is already really nice. Just like this. If you're going to leave it like this, I usually save this for the last step, but if this is what you choose to leave it as, you're going to take whatever pliers, I'm going to use my round nose pliers, and just turn that loop 90 degrees so that it's facing the other direction, so that when you actually do hang it off something, it will look like this. It's really pretty already, but I'm going to go for another strand and show you how to add on to another strand. So let's keep going. Bring back your wire. So now you just need, the top is whatever you're going to wrap around here. So using the same technique, this time I'm going to use my other hand. My index finger will be holding both of that together and holding the shell with my left hand. With my right, I'm going to push with my index finger down into the shell to create that natural curve or that natural bend. Just like that. There we go. Into the back of that shell. And I'm going to go over here and push it up. Right back up to the top. And I'm just going to cut this much off. And there you go. You have your second piece of wire. And I'm just going to see which groove I want to put this wire through. I think I want it on this one. I think that would look nice. Okay, so not making the same mistake again, I'm going to squeeze it down first so that it doesn't keep running away from me. Position it to the right place. And just squeeze that down just like that. On the back is going to look like this. And you're just going to squeeze. Alright. So now it's not going to like slide around as much as the other one did. You're going to take your first piece, the piece that comes from the back, and just quickly wrap that around. Not too many times or else it's going to look too thick, but enough times to keep it in place. I'm just squeezing the end down right now with my flat nose pliers. And for this shell, I made it loose enough that these beads can actually move around. For my other one, I made it really tight, and I also put 2 other wires in between the 3 beads so that they can't really, these 2 can't budge, but this one can move a little bit. So this one, the beads can move and slide around, but this, the wire encasing itself cannot move out of the shell. See how it's pretty tight in there. Okay. So now that I've wrapped that piece in, I'm just going to tighten it a little bit more because it's still poking its head out. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to add in my 2 beads. Just like that. Okay. And for these, I'm not too sure if they can move or not, depending on how tight I make them. And following up that curve, push it down as far as it'll go, coming right back up, straight away. And using my pliers, I'm just going to grab that end, that tail, and bring it around into this loop, into this topmost loop. Just going to squeeze that in a bit, just like that. And there you have it. Oh, one of my beads slipped down. Hold on. I'm just going to fix this. So this one came loose a bit, so you can see how it fell out of its groove, and that's how the bead got down there. I'm just going to tighten it just like this. You might have to go back and tighten a few things because things are going to move around when you put in your second wire. So there we go. You have completed your shell. This is where the tutorial ends. I'm just going to reshape that loop at the very top and make it more circular. It might have changed while you were moving things around a bit, so just give it a quick turn inside your round nose pliers and it should go right back to being a round shape. And there you go, you have completed your shell. I think this one is gorgeous. It's really pretty. This bead has just stayed there and this one here, and I like how it looks. This one can still move up and down a bit, but these 2 are stuck where they are. So I love how it looks. Compare that to the first one. There are 2 designs that you can use. I think both look lovely. They make great necklaces. I think I'm going to use these as a keychain though, because I need a keychain. And you can carry around little memories from the beach wherever you go. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and stay tuned for future videos. Bye!